episode number 65 of BlackMenCarpool. I'm your host today, Blackwax, and I got my driver Zay in the cabin today. What do you say, brother Zay?
What up, what up?
It's all good, man. So, how's your week been?
Man, the week has been going by pretty good. And the funny thing is, usually my weeks go by slower when I have a 3-day weekend. And I have no idea why. However, when I have the following week after a 3-day weekend, it actually goes by pretty fast.
That is kind of interesting because, that MLK week, it just seemed like it went forever.
Dragging on. And just, I don't know. So this week has actually gone by pretty fast compared to last week, to be honest.
No doubt. I felt like today I'm like officially coming out of my winter funk, like my holiday funk. Like I had like a positive attitude. I was in good spirits. I'm not fighting it so much. I'm not fighting hibernation anymore. I'm coming out. I'm ready to play.
Yeah, and I don't know. I got to be honest with you. I was the exact opposite this morning, waking up and it being 20 degrees outside. When it's cold out, it's really easy to jump back into bed, and you never know what you're gonna get with the weather out here in Texas.
Never know.
2 days ago it was 70, and then today it didn't even get past, I don't think, 60. So interesting.
Yeah, a lot of times a nice cup of something hot gets me started in the day. Of course, I didn't have one of my favorite creamers, so I didn't even drink any coffee today, which I try not to drink coffee every single day. But when you have a good cup of coffee, it kind of gives you that little edge, a little pep to get you going.
It sure does.
So we got some topics, and of course there's a lot of interesting things going on in our country right now.
Yes, sir, there is.
Wow, so much to talk about, so much change. But President Trump, he's been off to a quite of a busy start this year.
Yep.
And there's been several reports that some of the people that he's picked for his cabinet are partially based upon looks and appearance, and how well they will present on television. So there was one guy, don't know his name. It's not really important at this particular time, but Trump. It was reported that Trump didn't like him because he had a mustache. Now, you and I had a very extensive conversation about this the other day on the way to work. How, there seems to be a stigma and a certain level of discrimination about men who have facial hair, especially in the workplace.
Yeah.
When you're face to face with customers, in some industries, in some companies, it can very much be frowned upon.
Yeah, and I think, for one, the opportunity to present yourself and you're not groomed, I think most companies are afraid of that. I think most times facial hair is accepted if it looks nice, if it's groomed, if your hair's cut well, and that's just maintenance,
Right.
But like me, I have a beard right now and I need a haircut. I'm all over the place. And so most companies, especially customer-facing sales individuals who are actually face-to-face with the customers, some companies you'll come across them saying that you need to cut your facial hair off, and you could grow it back once you move up into the company. However, they have a culture of no facial hair when you first get in, almost like the military. And what I was told was the reason why they do that is because if you have facial hair, and again, let me be more specific who this was coming from. This was coming from a white individual who actually had no hair,
right,
and no facial hair, no nothing. So he wholeheartedly believed in this, but he said the consensus around individuals who have facial hair and who are salesmen is that they have something to hide, so they're not coming across actually genuine. And so there's an alternative agenda. However, and what I've been surrounded by is most black men have really groomed facial hair,
Right.
and some of them are salesmen as well.
Right.
However, in our culture, facial hair very much is thriving because, in my opinion, if you're losing your hair, you got to grow a beard to compensate for it. So, you know, and you know, black men, most black men, or a majority of us, when we can grow hair on our face, we're gonna do it, especially if we can make it look nice. So, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, so that's just kind of what I've taken, what I've heard. And you know, one company that I interviewed for asked me if I was willing to shave my facial hair, and I was at the time, of course. You know, I looked like a jerk for a while, but then after a while, I just get used to it. However, it is just as much upkeep as shaving than it is to actually have facial hair and keep it presentable.
Mm-hmm.
So either which way, you know, I mean, you're grooming yourself. So whether you're shaving it all off and, you know, you got a, you know, face, just naked face, or if you're taking that same effort and just lining yourself up or, you know, making it look presentable. Either which way, it's effort.
Exactly.
However, coming from a white man, he was saying that it's, you know, it's something that it has a stigma around that, and you know, I don't doubt him. I think he was speaking for the majority of white individuals who he was probably raised around and who he came up in the company with. However, outside of that bubble that he lives in are a number of successful individuals in sales, and some of them have facial hair. So, you know, I don't think it's a very accurate statement. However, I think there is a little bit of truth behind what he said.
That's very interesting. You know, when I applied for a job 5 years ago, I was a little bit concerned because I had a goatee and my hair grows very slow. I don't have much facial hair because I can't grow a lot of hair.
Yeah.
So I had this nice goatee, and I still have a goatee. And I generally don't wear a mustache because I just like to have just a goatee.
Okay.
I used to have a mustache, real thin mustache, but now I'm just pretty much, you know, like a goatee. So I went into my interview, and the guy interviewing me was a black man whose goatee was a little bit longer than mine.
Huh.
So I felt, you know, pretty good about the interview. I didn't think that was going to be much of a concern.
Yeah.
And so, but I was very much aware of it. I was very much cognizant. I had a certain level of, you know, discomfort about how it was going to pan out.
Yeah.
You know, so there definitely is that stigma of, you know, facial hair in the, you know, in the workplace. Definitely in a corporate environment.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that little stigma around it. I don't understand. In our culture where we work, it's not really a big deal. However, you do have companies who enforce that policy, and it's not an unspoken thing. They do have policy for it, written policy.
And I still think it's a little bit silly because if you remember a couple years ago, a lot of black men started getting cornrows,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start seeing cornrows in the corporate environment, and so it became a social norm.
Yeah.
You have politicians, John Wiley Price, who's been rocking cornrows.
Yeah.
You know, but he's pretty much been a politician for 20 years, so he can pretty much do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
You know.
He's under the gun right now, though.
Well, he's definitely under the gun right now. But, you know, technically, if he didn't come to work with a necktie, you know, every day, he probably, you know, no one would have anything to say about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, he wears a bow tie pretty much most of the time. But yeah, I think it's interesting, and we're gonna have to we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail. But I want to point out to our listeners that there is such an organization called the American Mustache Institute. And I'm going to read just the first paragraph from the website. Founded in 1965 and committed to battling a demonstrated discriminatory culture against people of mustache American heritage. The American Mustache Institute is the world's leading facial hair advocacy organization and think tank protecting the rights of and fighting discriminatory action against mustache Americans and all people of facial hair by promoting the growth, culture, and care of the lower nose forest.
The Lord knows forest.
Yeah, so shout out to the American Mustache Institute. They got this cool logo. It's like the shape of a mustache with the American flag. Yeah, it's real cool. So moving on to our next topic, Ice Cube. This guy, he finds a way to stay busy. He's always creating something new, something exciting, something entertaining, and you got to respect that. So Ice Cube, we all know, if you know anything about Ice Cube, you know he's a big sports fan. He loves his Lakers and his Raiders, and you know he's you know, he feels a part of that community. So Ice Cube started a pro league, ex-NBA professional basketball league, a 3-on-3 league. It's called the Big 3. So Ice Cube has this business partner named Jeff Kwanzitz. They announced a 3-on-3 basketball league titled the Big 3 at the Sheraton Times Square Hotel in New York City. The first game tips off June 24th in your hometown, or not your hometown, but your home state, Denver, Colorado.
Nice.
No doubt. So these are some of the players that have already signed on to the league. Chauncey Billups, Rashard Lewis, Kenyon Martin, Jermaine O'Neal, Stephen Jackson, Allen Iverson, who's going to be a player/coach, Bonzi Wells, Mike Bibby, Jason Williams, George Gerving, Jose Castillo, Corey Maggette, Al Harrington, and Ricky Davis. The coaches are going to be Allen Iverson, Gary Payton, George Gervin, Rick Mahone, Rick Barry, and Clyde Drexler. So there's going to be a total of 8 teams, and they're all going to be traveling teams. So it'll be 5 players and 1 coach per team. And there's going to be an 8-week regular season, resulting in 8 games on Saturday and a week off between contests. Games will be weekly, quadruple headers, with each team playing one of the other teams, held in a different locale each week. There will be 1 playoff game on week 9 and a championship game on week 10.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that sounds like it's going to be pretty exciting.
Yeah, I wonder if the people will find it a hit. I wonder how long is it televised?
It sounds like it is going to be televised, because I know they're going to be selling tickets, and they're trying to make some money off of it. You know, because it's just not really a charitable event for Ice Cube. He wants to
make some money.
He want to make a little money of it, but he's still not. Some of his favorite players, he still want to see them play.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, I'm looking for it. I will watch it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be something fun to watch.
I wonder if it's going to be on ESPN highlights and stuff.
Well, possibly. I bet you it'll start off on like ESPN 2 or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I bet it'll start off something like that. But you never know. It could make ESPN. So, and that'll be something fun to take the kids to as well. So, yeah, I would do that. So, in other news, I got a big announcement. Are you ready for the big announcement?
I sure am.
So, several years ago, about 2004, I believe, I started a newsletter. It's called the Blackwax News.
Okay.
And so, I did that newsletter for a couple of years, and then I kind of fell off and started doing some other things. And I've always wanted to revive the newsletter, and I finally found a way to revive it and to bring it back to life. So I'm going to be publishing about once a month a little newsletter for things that are happening with the podcast, things that are happening around town, maybe a couple articles here and there. So check out the Blackwax News. It is on issue ISSUU, and I'll put a link in the show notes and on the site, so you can check out the blackwax news. So I'm hoping to, turn it into something a little bit bigger. But it's definitely a passion of mine. I like all things media, print, audio, video. So we're trying to do everything we can to grow the show.
Absolutely. Awesome. That's tight.
No doubt. So I only have like one last topic, unless you got something you want to chime in on.
No, what you got?
So I have a friend. Her name is Talisa. She moved to San Francisco a couple of years ago, and she's always been innovative. She's always been creative, and she started her own podcast. And I checked out one of her shows, and I was pretty impressed because it's such a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
The name of her podcast is called Kinfolk Chronicles. So it's a show about people who have survived certain family traumas.
Okay.
So I won't really give you I won't be the spoiler. So I'll let my listeners go out and check it out if it's something that they're interested in. But I was pretty impressed because she just started her podcast in December, and she's already on iTunes. She got a website. She's got interviews lined up. So she's really doing the thing. So we may have to get her on the show and do an interview with her as well.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
No doubt. All right, so that's going to be about it for episode number 65. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and YouTube. We're still on YouTube. And tell a friend. And that's going to do it. We out.
Peace.